Hello, Unreal developers. I am excited to welcome you back to our channel, where we uncover the secrets and techniques that will help you excel in your development journey. My name is Mohit, and today we have a really special topic integrating the Clevertap Android SDK into Unreal Engine 5. This is a topic that has been under addressed given there is currently no official SDK or documentation to guide you through this process. But fear not, we have got you covered. But first, let's talk about Clevertap. Clevertap is a powerful mobile marketing solution that brings together user data from online and offline channels on one centralized platform. It provides real time behavioral insights and assists with targeted engagement strategies that help to retain users and drive growth. When we look at its benefits in terms of game development, they are immense. Clevertap allows you to track in game events, understand player behavior, segment players based on their activities, and engage with them using personalized messages. The ultimate goal is to increase player retention and maximize revenue, which is vital in the competitive gaming market. But how do we go about integrating this powerful tool into Unreal Engine 5 for an Android project? That's what we are going to explore in today's tutorial. So let's get started. Let's fire up Epic Games Launcher and start our Unreal Engine. For this tutorial, we are going to use the latest version 5.2.1. We are going to create a games project, select a blank template. We don't want to use blueprints for this, so we're going to select C++. Our target platform will be mobile, and we're going to select a quality preset of scalable, and let's select a location now. I'm working off directly off my SSD, so I'm going to select that location, and let's give this project a name. And click on create button to get started. Unreal Engine will create your project. It will open automatically your code solution as well as the Unreal editor. I'm going to open a new window. I already have one Radar window already loaded. Let's wait for the solution to be loaded. Since I'm working on a Mac, I prefer using Rider instead of Xcode. It gives better flexibility and much faster build times. Before we dive into code and the Android UPL language, I'm just going to set up a few things in the Unreal Editor first. I'm just closing a few windows over here, and let's look for project settings, edit project settings. The window opened on my other monitor. I'm gonna ping it here. So what we want to do is straight away go to the Android section and set up a few things over here. Just default things like configuring for the platform settings. I'm gonna set up a package name for Android. So let's give a meaningful name for us to use. A very generic name has been used. Let's come down and select Google Play Services. Let's configure that. Coming down, let's see if there are any other settings. No, I think we're all good. Okay, let's go back now. After this, I'm also going to save this empty level, give it a name, and set the same in the project settings under which levels to packages and which will be the startup level, things like that. So let's save it, save current level as. I'm going to give it boot level. You can give it any name which you like as per your preference. Let's wait for it to save. Once this has been saved, let's make sure we are in the same level. Now let's go to edit, project settings. Let's scroll down. Let's see maps and modes. Let's set this as editor startup map, boot level, and game default map, boot level. Now let's try to find the packaging section and scroll down. If you go to the advanced tab, uh, this step is not mandatory, but I just like to do this as a preference to make sure I'm only packaging the necessary levels. So let's select boot level, open, and this is fine. Save. Let's go back. Now we are back in our C++ solution. The first thing we want to do is create a blueprint function library. For that, I'm just going to right click, add, select an Unreal class, and let's go to all classes. Let's search for blueprint function library template. Let's see, and we want to select U blueprint function library. I'm going to give this class a name. Let's call it not this. Let's call it Clevertap function library. If you want to create separate public and private folders, you can just select the toggles. I'm just going to select root and click on OK. This will create both of our header classes and C++ classes. So what I'm going to do now is, first let's define some public functions which we can access through blueprints. So public, now let's come down. We want to create a U function. Let's call it blueprint callable. Give it a category for identification, Clevertap helper. Static void initialize Clevertap, and just for debugging purposes I'm going to have a string parameter as well. Once we have this, let's create one more, and this I just want to get the Clevertap ID once we have initialized the SDK, and this will return us from the Android side a string for the ID. So let us add that, and this is fine. Let's see what else. We also want another function through which we can send custom events with custom names. For simplicity's sake, we are just going to have send events with an event name. We are not going to have like a key value pairs, these kind of events, but for future sake I'm just going to create two private functions, helper functions, which can help to send a dictionary to the Android side and also receive key value pairs from the Android side and see it in Unreal. So let's do that. I'm just going to define them here. Now that our header file is complete, let's do the implementations for our functions. We want to create a constructor first for our class, so let's just go ahead and do that. So basically we want to give the class name and again the same class name, and then initialize the superclass for it. Object initializer, and we can just leave it empty. Now let's go ahead and implement the other functions. I'll just go to the header file and select the function, alt enter, and it will automatically create an empty implementation for me in the CPP file. Let's go ahead and do this for all of the functions I have in the header file. All right, so now we have nailed this down. Let's go ahead and implement the initialize clever tab. So what we want to do first is include a couple of files. Since we are going to work on an Android platform, I'm going to add a, if directive for Android platform as well. So let's add that hash if platform underscore Android and hash and if, and now let's include the Android files that we need. So since we are going to talk to the Java classes through a GNI interface, we need the Android GNI header file, and we also want Android application header file as well. So let's come down, and I am just going to reuse the if declarative and all of my function just as a safe practice. If I ever run this code in the editor or other platform, uh, we'll just to make sure that we don't get any unnecessary errors. Okay, let's go ahead. Inside after the else condition, I'm just going to add something specific to editor. I want to debug on screen message, so I'm just going to add that. So whatever the input that we are getting from the blueprint function, I'm just gonna add that. So this message will remain on screen for 5 seconds, and I can just directly take message and give it a color red, probably. Alright, now, so first what we are going to do is using the Android application get Java env method, we are going to get the Java environment. This allows us to interact uh, with the Java code from a C++ site. So once we have that, we want to find the ID of the method that we are trying to call. So I'm gonna declare a JMethod ID, give a variable name, and let's just give it any name. I suppose this method ID. Now I'm going to call fjava wrapper find method to find a Java method called initialize clevertap. I'm just going to give the same name, uh, similar to what I have in the C++ code. So I'm just going to give it same initialize clevertap. Uh, this initialize clevertap function we are trying to find in the game activity class at the Java side. So once we have that, we'll move forward. So next we are going to define the method signature, and the method signature is basically going to indicate that it takes a string parameter and it returns a void. So let's do that. So once we are done with this, we are going to create a new Java string called JString, JString type, and call it JMessage. And we are going to convert the F string from F string to a UTF-8 encoded string. So since we are inside an if block, Rider is not properly able to give us autocomplete, and that's messing up the code a little bit. But let's edit that. Move forward. Finally, we will call the fjava wrapper call void method to invoke the initialize clevertap method in Java, and we are going to pass the J message string as an argument in the initialize clevertap. For the call void method to work, we need to tell it that which environment we are trying to access the game activity class. After the game activity class, we want to pass in the method ID and the parameter for that method. So this will be game activity this, and now we will pass the this method ID and the parameter, and we'll be good to go. Let's implement the get clevertap ID function now. This is going to be slightly different than the previous function. In this function, we want to get a value back from the Java side instead of sending a parameter from here. So after we have added the platform directive, um, I'm going to declare a result f string, initialize it with an empty string, and similar to last function, we need a JNI environment. We also need a method ID. So let's do that, and going to give it get clevertap ID name. The method signature is going to be slightly different, so we're going to change that. Uh, this time we're going to use open close brackets ljava lang string. This indicates that there are no arguments and returns a string. We then, we then want a response string and since this is going to be from the Java side, we want it to be converted to f string. In order to do that, uh, we retrieve the UTF-8 encoded characters, and I'm just gonna fix this typo here. So if the response string is not null, indicating a valid response, we retrieve the UTF-8 encoded characters from the Java string, and the way we are going to do is just create a character pointer const javachars and get string utf-chars from the environment, and from the response string we are passing it as parameter. We then convert the retrieved characters to an f string using f string utf-8 to char and pass in the java chars, and then assigning it to the result variable. So after retrieving the clevertap ID from the result, we release the UTF-8 characters using env release string UTF chars. We also want to delete the local reference using env delete local ref. Next, we move to send clevertap event. This function is going to be very similar to initialize clevertap. So I'm just going to copy everything from the initialize clevertap function, paste it into send clevertap event. The only thing that I'm going to change is the function name, which we are trying to find in the game activity class, and we should be good to go. Let's just see everything once again. This is fine. You can see in the below function implementations that we have left them empty. Receive dictionary from Unreal and dictionary to using string. I'm just going to leave a note here for future that we need to implement this. What we're going to use this for, we want to use this to send key value pair events in future, so I'm just going to leave a note. Once we have done this, we will quickly go through this. Everything is fine. We will try to run the project. It will build the solution and try to run it in Unreal Editor. We encounter an error at this stage, as you will see in a few seconds. uh, this is because in the header file for the clevertap function library, uh, just below the class decoration, we have added the macro u class. We need to have it as generated u class body. Once you add that, that error will be fixed. For now, we'll move on to the build file, and over here we want to include our Android UPL file. So let's go ahead and do that. This is a CS file, so we'll use using system.io, import the input output capabilities. If the target platform is Android, we want to include a file. Let's give the path. So whatever the module directory is, we will just go up and we want to find the Android upl.xml file. We want to add the properties for receipt for this, uh, give the identifier as Android plugin, and we also want to add it to the private dependency modules, and we should be good. I will stop the video over here. In the next video, we will look at the Android UPL file, blueprint functions, and further implementation. See you soon.